Hello, dear colleague. That's my third report on the LLLD, and it's dedicated to the mere useful expression of three grammatical meanings: tropative, apparative, and causative in constructed languages or conlangs. Conlangs are languages that appear as a result of deliberate creation, whereas natural languages, or NLs, are a result of a natural development. Conlangs can be oral or graphical, while oral conlangs, or OCLs, possess a spoken or signed form. Graphical conlangs, or posigraphies, have only a written form and express meanings directly without any phonology. Conlangs are usually divided into four categories according to their aim. Auxiliary languages, or AUXLangs, are designed as lingua franca for native speakers of different languages. All posigraphies are auxiliary. Zonal AUXLangs, zonelangs, are designed as lingua franca for a particular language family or area. Artistic languages, artlangs, are designed for the works of art or as pieces of art themselves. Engineered languages, englangs, are meant to check linguistic hypotheses. The following grammatical meanings are to be discussed. Tropative. X considers Y to be Z. X is a subject, Y is an object, that's the characteristic. Apparative. X seems to be Y. X is a stimulus, Y is a characteristic. And causative. To cause somebody or something to be or to do something. It's necessary to emphasize that while most of language papers concern cultural or psychological aspects of language construction, I present an attempt of studying conlangs with purely linguistic methods, the same way as NLs are usually treated. Despite the fact that conlangs are almost always ignored in typological research, there are some strong arguments in favor of conlang typology study. Firstly, typology is quite a young brand, while conlangs have been created since the 12th century. This must mean that the choice of a model could only be based on the creator's own position on what is easy or naturalistic and what is not. Data about conlangs can help us explain linguistic universality and diachronic change. One more argument is that sometimes it's difficult to draw a border between natural languages and conlangs. For example, basic English by Tarasov or oral Linguistics from 1984 can be regarded as controlled versions of NL. Furthermore, is modern Indo-European a conlang or a reconstructed NL? And what about Hebrew then? For this project, two research methods were used. The first one is grammar description analysis for studying causative. And the second one is the conceptual method for studying secretive and apparative. The latter method involves translation of 6 sentences from Russian or English, performed by advanced users of conlang. This method has its own disadvantages described in my article in the AJLF, like inability to make a negative statement and thinking about absence of another model, a risk of reprimand mistake, and so on. These disadvantages cannot be omitted, but this method has an important advantage. While tropative and apparative are rarely mentioned in grammar description, it allows to receive data about languages lacking these details in their description. On the other hand, it's unsuitable for studying quality due to a much wider range of contexts. I also have to admit that I had used grammar description for studying all the meanings in 2 or 4 posigraphies, since they have no active community, but possess detailed description. Overall, 19 OCLs and 4 posigraphies were examined. In my article in the AJLS, the notion of negative tropative is introduced. X does not consider Y to be Z. By analogy, I introduce the notion of negative apparity. X does not seem to be Y. If a negative property or apparity construction in a language is a grammatical negation of a positive one, we call such a model positive-negative symmetric. It also introduces a reverse property. Y is considered to be Z. If a reverse property is a grammatical passivization or detransitivization of a direct one, we call such a model direct reverse symmetric. There can be no reverse parity because this is an intransitive predicate. 4 degrees of tropativity are also used. By analogy, 3 degrees of apparativity are to be introduced. First degree tropative or apparative is expressed morphologically with an affix. It's strong if applicable to any stem of a particular class and weak otherwise. It can also be either polysemic or monosemic. Second degree tropative or apparative is expressed syntactically with one finite clause, but not morphologically. It can also be polysemic or monosemic. Third degree tropative or apparative is expressed lexically, but not syntactically. All the necessary arguments can be stated explicitly. Fourth degree tropative is descriptive only. Tropative subject is not stated explicitly. Thus, there is no distinction between direct and reverse tropative. Language is prescribed the highest degree of all models used in it. In terms of tropative, the results are as follows. 11 languages out of 19 utilize second degree systems, 6 ones belong to the third degree, and the other 2 possess fourth degree models only. But there are no morphological tropative. Out of 17 languages belonging to the third or higher degree, 8 tropative systems are direct reverse symmetric. 9 are asymmetric. In 7 cases, direct constructions are used instead of reverse ones. 18 of 19 languages are positive-negative symmetric. Tropative verbs can be polysemic. The range of primary meanings is quite wide. For example, the earliest oak slang in a sample, called soldier soil, expresses tropative meaning with antonymous verbs, to praise and to scold. Sambaksa, a modern oak slang, possesses a Sanskrit model with the verb to say. Another oak slang, called labasa, uses the verb to consider, like English. Pan-Slavonic Interslavic borrows 2 models from Slavonic NL, to have and to respect. Pan-Germanic Volkssprache uses a model which is also popular in the language family and beyond, to find. By the way, the term tropative originates from the French verb trouver, to find. Finally, oligosynthetic AOE uses the verb go, with the first letter being an inessive marker, the second letter denoting proximity, and the third letter standing for mind. Now you can see an example of a second degree symmetric system from Esperanto. And now, here is an example of a third degree direct reverse asymmetric system from Xhosa. Now let's turn to posigraphies. And we see something absolutely different. 2 of 4 posigraphies possess morphological level tropative systems, which are analogical to the first degree. The other 2 languages express tropative lexically, which is analogical to the second and the third degrees. But moreover, Bliss symbols uses morphological level reverse tropative. Implicit tropative, which is used in Pali-Neo, has never been detected in any oral language, whether natural or constructed. The Napel by Milan Randic also possesses a unique feature. No other morphological tropative is known to be compatible with dynamic verbs, like to come. In terms of apparative, The results are as follows. 13 languages out of 19 belong to the second degree, while 2 of them utilize first degree systems. And the other 4 only possess third degree ones. All of the systems in a sample are symmetric. Apparative verbs can also be polysemic. The range of primary meanings is smaller than that of tropative verbs, but still quite wide. For example, the most famous oak lang called Esperanto uses quite a frequent polysemy to be seen. Pan-Slavonic Interslavic again borrows 2 typically Slavonic models, to look and to show oneself as. The latter model is also popular beyond the Slavic area. The term apparative originates from the Latin verb appareo, to show oneself as. An Elvish conlang called Sindarin expresses an apparative meaning with a probability adverb, nef, which is also a widespread strategy. Finally, oligosynthetic aui uses the verb oiv, with the first letter having a meaning filling, and the second letter standing for shine. 2 O sales with the first degree apparative system are Klingon, an outlang from Star Trek, and a sophisticated Anglang called Ithquil. Klingon uses the suffix lau, while the Ithquil suffix is rd. Now you can see an example of a second degree symmetric system from Volapük. Now let's turn to posigraphies. Are there any morphological apparatives? No. But we need to bear in mind that there are only 4 languages. Only one apparative model, the one of Polyneo, is polysemic. And this polysemy is unusual and almost non-existent among both NLs and OCLs. To conclude, there are no first-degree tropative systems among 19 OCLs, but 3 morphological level tropatives among just 4 posigraphies. It's necessary to mention that such a feature is not that frequent among NLs, just 7%. On the contrary, there are no morphological apparatives in posigraphies. However, it might be because the sample is scarce. There is no reliable statistics on natural languages, unfortunately. 2 other features not registered in oral languages are implicit tropative, found in Polyneo, and dynamic verbal tropative, found in the NAP. In terms of causative, I received the following results. 13 languages out of 18 utilize strong morphological causative markers, compatible with any stem of a particular class. 2 more have weak morphological markers, and 3 languages express this meaning lexically. As for analytical strategies, 16 languages use non-integrating causative verbs, the ones that only express causation, but not an action. To order, to command, to allow, and so on. 10 languages use stem alteration, and there are only 2 cases of implicit causation. The distribution is quite interesting. All oak slangs, except Sol-Risol and Volapük, use strong markers. These 2 languages are the earliest oak slangs in my sample. Volapük, which was created half a century later, possesses morphological causative markers, even though weak ones. Thus, we can see a process of causative evolution in oak slangs. As for zonlangs, none of them uses universal markers, probably because these conlangs are based on NLs of a particular family, and universal markers are not widespread in natural languages. On the contrary, all slangs I examined utilize strong universal markers. The case of Anglangs is the most interesting in terms of both polarization and distribution. 3 languages out of 5 use strong markers, including languages with opposite aims, logical Lojban and emotional Laadan, while other 2 express causative analytically. and they again have opposite aims. Tokipono was designed as simplistic, while Ithkuil was meant as sophisticated. Now let's examine posigraphies. What do we see now? Each of 4 posigraphies possesses morphological markers. All markers are universal. Furthermore, they are strong in all languages except Napo. Now you can see the examples of universal causative markers from 2 conlangs, oral globasa and graphical parineo. To conclude, both oral and graphical conlangs mainly express causative morphologically with strong markers. This is also typical for NLs. Only 8% of natural languages lack causative markers. Among analytical strategies, implicit causative is the least frequent strategy. There is also no evidence that any natural language regularly uses such strategy. However, there is a significant difference between NLs and conlangs. In the latter category, universal markers are more widespread than strictly verbal or strictly nonverbal. Making a general conclusion, I need to say that causative is morphological among most OCLs and in all posigraphies under discussion, and this is the common feature of NLs and conlangs. On the other hand, 3 of 4 posigraphies utilize morphological tropative, while none of OCLs does it, and this feature is also rare in NL. In terms of tropative, posigraphies also demonstrate some peculiarities, where there is too little reliable data about NLs. Thus, while 3 categories of languages have similar causative features, their tropative and apparative features are not the same. And that's an understatement, actually. The most probable reason is that causative is more sufficiently studied and more often expressed grammatically than both tropative and apparative. Thank you very much for your attention.